10 surprising facts about the moon. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're uncovering 10 surprising facts about the moon that you probably didn't know. Let's dive in. The moon, our closest cosmic neighbor, is far more fascinating than most people realize. We always see the same face of the moon from Earth. You might have heard that we only ever see 50% of the moon's surface. But here's the thing, we actually see a bit more. Thanks to something called libration, we get to peek a little beyond the edge. Libration is a fancy word for the way the moon wobbles slightly in its orbit. Because of this wobble, and the fact that the moon's orbit isn't perfectly circular, we actually get to see about 59% of the lunar surface over time. We all know the moon has a cycle of about 29.5 days, right? This is the cycle that most of us are familiar with, where the moon goes from new to full and back to new again. It's a mesmerizing dance that has fascinated humanity for millennia. But did you know the moon actually has 4 different kinds of months? Each of these months is defined by different celestial mechanics and offers a unique perspective on the moon's journey around our planet. First up, we have the synodic month, which is the most familiar one. This is the period it takes for the moon to complete a full cycle of phases, from new moon to full moon and back to new moon again. This cycle lasts about 29.5 days and is the basis for the lunar calendar used in many cultures. It's the time it takes for the moon to complete a full cycle of phases, as seen from Earth. This is the month that dictates the ebb and flow of tides and has been used to mark time for centuries. Then there's the sidereal month, which is a little shorter at about 27.3 days. This month measures the time it takes the moon to orbit the Earth relative to the distant stars. Unlike the synodic month, the sidereal month is not influenced by the sun's position. This measures the time it takes the moon to orbit the Earth relative to the stars. It's a fascinating way to track the moon's journey through the constellations and offers a different perspective on its motion. Next we have the anomalistic month, which clocks in at around 27.5 days. This month is defined by the time it takes for the moon to return to its closest point to Earth, known as perigee. The distance between the Earth and the moon varies, and this month helps us understand those changes. Last but not least, there's the nautical month, coming in at approximately 27.2 days. This month is based on the time it takes for the moon to pass through the same node, or the points where its orbit crosses the Earth's orbit. This is crucial for predicting eclipses and understanding the moon's orbital dynamics. So, the next time you look up at the moon, remember that its journey is more complex than it seems. Each of these months offers a unique way to appreciate the moon's intricate dance around our planet. On a clear night, a full moon can seem incredibly bright, casting long shadows and illuminating the landscape. But here's the thing, the moon doesn't actually produce any light of its own. What we're seeing is reflected sunlight. The sun is about 400,000 times brighter than the full moon. You would need roughly 398,110 full moons in the sky at the same time to match the brightness of the sun. It's a stark reminder of the sheer power of our local star. Let's talk about phases of the moon for a moment. You might think that the first quarter moon, where we see half of the illuminated moon, would be half as bright as a full moon, right? Makes sense, right? Well, that's not quite the case. It turns out the first quarter moon is significantly dimmer than you might expect. In fact, it's only about 1/11th as bright as a full moon. It has to do with the way sunlight hits the moon's surface and how we perceive that light from Earth. The moon's surface is actually quite rough and uneven, covered in craters, mountains, and valleys. We've all gazed up at the night sky, marveling at the celestial wonders above us. One of the most captivating sights is watching the moon cycle through its phases, from a slender crescent to a brilliant full moon. But here's a mind-bending thought. The Earth goes through phases too, at least from the moon's perspective. Imagine standing on the lunar surface and looking back at our home planet. If you were standing on the surface of the moon, looking back at Earth, you'd witness a spectacular sight. You'd see our planet illuminated by the sun, just like we see the moon illuminated from Earth. The Earth would appear to go through a series of phases, much like the moon does from our perspective. When we see the moon illuminated, it's because the sun's light is reflecting off its surface, creating the various phases we observe. When we see a new moon here on Earth, that means the moon is positioned between the Earth and the sun. making it nearly invisible to us. This alignment causes the side of the moon facing us to be in shadow, while the far side is fully lit by the sun. From the moon's perspective, this would be a full Earth. The entire face of our planet would be illuminated, shining brightly in the lunar sky. Conversely, when we experience a full moon, the situation is reversed. An astronaut on the moon would see a new Earth, a dark disk, perhaps faintly illuminated by sunlight reflecting off our atmosphere. This fascinating interplay of light and shadow between the Earth and the moon reminds us of the intricate dance of celestial bodies in our solar system. The phases of the Earth as seen from the moon offer a unique perspective on our place in the cosmos, highlighting the beauty and complexity of the universe we inhabit. Eclipses are some of the most awe-inspiring celestial events we can witness from Earth. A total solar eclipse can turn day into an eerie twilight, and a total lunar eclipse can turn the moon a deep shade of red. But here's the thing, eclipses are reversed from the moon's perspective. Imagine you're an astronaut standing on the lunar surface during a lunar eclipse. From your vantage point, you wouldn't see the moon darken. Instead, you'd witness a solar eclipse. During a lunar eclipse, the Earth is positioned directly between the sun and the moon, blocking out a much larger portion of the sun's disk. Have you ever looked up at the moon and wondered how all those craters got their names? There's a whole system for naming lunar craters, overseen by the International Astronomical Union, or IAU. The IAU likes to honor deceased scientists, engineers, and explorers who have made significant contributions to their fields. But it's not just scientists and explorers who get immortalized on the moon. The IAU also considers artists, writers, and musicians who have made significant contributions to human culture. They prefer names that are short, easy to pronounce, and distinct. The moon might seem like a tranquil place, but don't let that fool you. The lunar surface is a harsh and unforgiving environment, subject to some of the most extreme temperature swings in our solar system. The moon has a very thin atmosphere, almost non-existent. During the lunar day, temperatures can soar to a scorching 260 degrees Fahrenheit, but as soon as the sun sets and the lunar night begins, the temperature plummets. Temperatures can drop to a bone-chilling minus 280 degrees Fahrenheit. In some of the deep craters near the moon's poles, temperatures can plunge to an astounding minus 400 degrees Fahrenheit. We take time zones for granted here on Earth, but have you ever stopped to consider that the moon might have its own time zones? Back in 1970, an astronomer named Kenneth L. Franklin decided to tackle this very question. Franklin devised a system of lunar time zones based on the same principles as Earth's time zones, but adapted for the moon's unique rotation and orbit. He divided the moon into 24 time zones, each one spanning 12 degrees of longitude. The prime meridian was chosen to be the line of longitude that passes through the center of the moon's face, as seen from Earth. Franklin's system of lunar time zones is still used by scientists and engineers who study the moon. We've all heard the term supermoon tossed around, especially in recent years. It's become a popular topic in astronomy and among skywatchers. But what exactly is a supermoon, and what makes it so super? Let's dive into the fascinating details of this celestial event. The moon's orbit around Earth isn't a perfect circle. Instead, it's slightly elliptical, which means the distance between the Earth and the moon changes as the moon travels along its path. This elliptical orbit results in times when the moon is closer to Earth, known as perigee, and times when it is farther away, known as apogee. These variations in distance are what give rise to the phenomenon of the supermoon. When a full moon coincides with perigee, we get a supermoon. This is when the moon is at its closest point to Earth in its orbit, making it appear larger and more luminous. Because the moon is closer to Earth during a supermoon, it appears slightly larger and brighter in the sky than a regular full moon. This increased size and brightness can be quite striking, especially when viewed in a clear night sky. A supermoon can appear up to 14% larger and 30% brighter than a full moon at apogee. This difference might not seem huge, but it can be quite noticeable to the naked eye. So the next time you hear about a supermoon, be sure to step outside and take a look. It's a wonderful opportunity to appreciate the beauty and dynamics of our closest celestial neighbor. Whether you're an avid astronomer or just a casual observer, witnessing a supermoon can be a memorable experience. Don't forget to bring your binoculars or a telescope for an even closer view. Gather your friends and family and make it an event. Share the wonder of the night sky and the marvel of the supermoon. It's moments like these that remind us of the incredible universe we are a part of. And remember, supermoons don't happen every month, so when they do, it's a special treat. Mark your calendars and enjoy the show. And there you have it, 10 surprising facts about the moon. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more cosmic facts and amazing content. See you next time.